Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 13. I'm a little under the weather, so I look like I've been crying, but trust me, I haven't been. I'm just suffering from allergies. Suffering. So, welcome to week 13 of Free to Be. Today, I want to talk about our misguided belief systems around relationships. Not only do we believe that relationships are here to somehow complete us and fill us and take over the parts of us that never grew up, right? We believe that, if I can't do X, Y, and Z, it's okay, I'll ask my partner to do it. Now, of course, there's an interdependence on people, but if you really examine yourself, you will see that actually you wish for your partner in an intimate relationship to take on all the qualities that you haven't developed, that are still in their infantile stage, and you just don't want to do the work to raise yourself or those qualities into adulthood, so you rely on your partner. Nothing wrong with that. It could actually be a lovely synergistic flow, but at least we should be aware of what we're doing, right? We can't just be like, you know what, I never handle money and I don't know how to handle money and I don't like to handle money, so that's why I don't handle money. We stop talking like that, and we instead ask ourselves, what part of me is too childishly dependent on this idea that I don't handle money, for example? Or, you know what, I'm not a very sexual being. Is that true? Or is there a part of you that is primitively and childishly, infantile-like, attached to an idea of yourself as not being sexual? There are pieces of us that actually stop growing when you're in an intimate relationship, especially if the relationship is transactional, where each one kind of agrees to fulfill certain superficial roles in the other's life. You do the bills, I do the house cleaning. You're the extrovert and the gregarious one, so when people come over, you do that, and I'll stay in the kitchen and I'll cook. For example, I'm just being stereotypical. So we stop growing in relationships, especially in relationships which are not predicated on growth, which are predicated on transactions. Those relationships which are not predicated on growth, where the people are not actively involved in spiritual evolution, which is most relationships, most relationships are not, where people are actively involved in spiritual evolution. What you have is a transactional relationship. And in a transactional relationship, it's you complete me phenomenon, where the other person compensates and we actually stop growing. We stunt our development. I've been hanging out with quite a few couples lately, and I've been noticing how one in the couple and then the other at another time seeks the other's permission, seeks the other's confirmation, seeks the other's validation, seeks the other's input. Now, all that is very well when you have someone who is on your vibrational level. But what I was noticing in couples is that the seeking is not done from a place of wholeness. It is done from a place of need. So in your relationship, you need to examine what parts of you have stopped growing, and you're now leaning on the other because you haven't grown up in that area. And then you in some way hold yourself back because now you're leaning on the other, means the other is now in charge of that aspect of your life. So you're dependent on the other. Nobody is in charge of you. Nobody is here to take care of you. If they do, wow, bonus. But if they do to the detriment of you now raising yourself into adulthood, it's actually a handicap. So how do we become conscious in our relationships where we are still doing our own work? Sure, I may not write the bills every month, but do I know how to write the bills every month? Sure, right? Sure, I may not want to cook every day, and my partner may love cooking. Fine, I'll let the partner cook. But can I cook every day if I needed to? Yes. Look at every area of your life and become an adult. The reason I say this is because it's only when we become an adult in all spheres of our lives. Now, sure, we'd like someone to make the dessert, but we should be able to do it ourselves. We'd like someone to do the laundry, but we should be able to do it ourselves. The reason why I say we need to become adult in the form-based world is because then you are not in the relationship out of need and dependency, out of possession or control. It's no longer transactional. Now it's two wholes coming together for the purpose of catapulting growth. Very different energy. So if you're in a relationship where you are codependent on the other, or where you are enabling the other to be codependent on you, right? Where you are seeking this kind of enmeshed relationship and perpetuating this kind of dependency, you need to wake up to that. To be free in the we can only be fully possible when each in the we is independently growing. Independently growing. Many of you may be in a relationship that doesn't look like independent growth. It's okay, don't panic. Just be aware that you're in a relationship that is more role-based, more transactional-based, more need-based, and more control-based. Just be aware where you are on the hierarchy of relationships. The way I look at the hierarchy of relationships is at the very top are the relationships, and I'm just putting it on the top, but it could, there's no ladder necessarily, except there's no ladder in terms of judgment of good or better, just a ladder in terms of evolution of consciousness. So when I say at the top of the ladder, I mean the ladder of consciousness, not at the top of the ladder, meaning this is the prize, this is the coveted place you need to be. This is better than being below. Why do I not like to pitch things as better or worse? Is because wherever we are in our consciousness is perfectly where we are meant to be. So if you are at the lower end of the consciousness totem pole, that's not worse. Sure, you'll suffer more, but maybe you need to suffer more because that's where you are on your level of consciousness. So the way I look at the hierarchy of consciousness in relationships is that at the very top are the transcendent relationships. And at the very bottom are the homicidal parasitic relationships. The difference in these two extremes are in their form-based elements. Transcendent relationships are beyond form, where the attraction to the other person is based on mental synergy, on energetic vibration, on this formless connection, on gratitude, compassion, growth, inspiration, synergistic ways of thinking, of deeply abiding philosophical consonance. Transcendent, beyond form. It's not like, oh, I find him hot. Oh, she's really hot. Oh, let's get together. It's not based on form. Sure, hotness can be part of it, of course, but that's not what we're looking at in a transcendent relationship. In a transcendent relationship, you are very aware that you are now in this relationship for no ulterior agenda. You're simply in this relationship because it's a match of vibrational energy. That's the highest form of conscious relationships. At the lowest end are the parasitic homicidal relationships, of which I wish none of you belong to. But those relationships are all form-based. It is parasitic, meaning what can you do for me? What can you give me? How can you serve me? Right? And I say homicidal because they abduct each other's true spirits. It's a toxic relationship where each one uses the other to fill the other's inner cup. So these are the two extremes, and now we're going to fill in the gap. And your task is to not necessarily want to be at transcendence, because you cannot want it, you have to evolve into it. It's not that you need to be at transcendence because it's better, but you simply need to know where you are along the continuum and accept where you are on the continuum of consciousness. So are you at transcendence? Probably not. Are you at homicidal parasitic? Probably not. Most of us fall somewhere in between, in the range of more form and little formlessness. So what's after the parasitic homicidal relationship? After that are the clinging relationships, the dependent relationships, the enmeshed relationships, the oh my goodness, you complete me relationships. They are form-based, they're transactional, they are conditional, they are form-based, they appear as formless because you have all this lust, but it's very much based on the physical form. It's very much based on what the other person gives the other person in terms of emotional well-being. It is very conditional. Enmeshed, dependent, objectified relationships where the object of your love is extremely pivotal to your capacity to love. Look at what I'm saying. The other relationships between extreme parasitism and transcendence are relationships where the object of the love is very pivotal to the love. We fall in love with the person because of how the object appears and how the object makes us feel. As long as it's this kind of objectified love based on objectification, it will not be transcendent love. It'll be form-based love, where two people enter the relationship based on the other person. Meaning, if the other person acts like a schmuck, so if person Y acts like a schmuck because person X got into it based on the object of Y, they will stop loving Y. Because the love is based on Y. In a transcendent relationship, the love is irregardless of Y. Y can do anything they want. X will still be in transcendent love. Now, do not mistake this as me saying stay in an abusive situation. In an abusive situation, it's never going to enter transcendent realms because it's going to stay at the parasitic levels. Abusive relationships are at a very high level of dependency, enmeshment, codependency, and objectification. Transcendent love is where the object of your love is no longer the focus of your love. So if the object of your love acts schmucky, is really rude, or is going through a hard time, or is about to die, or has a terminal illness, person X can still feel transcendent love for them. If person Y is highly parasitic, then person X will not be in a transcendent relationship with them, but they could still feel transcendent love for them. Transcendent love has nothing to do with the object of the love. It's a state of being within person X. A transcendent relationship is where both people are capable of entering transcendent love. So you can have transcendent love for a very abusive person in your life. It just won't become a transcendent relationship. You can have transcendent love for the entire cosmos. Okay? So part of awareness is knowing where you are on the continuum of consciousness in your relationship. In my personal life, I have seen myself go from extreme parasitism, where I've allowed people to parasitically maul me. But I was a parasite too, because I was just stagnantly allowing for a bigger parasite to take from me. And I was a parasite because I got from being taken, right? I got a sense of joy and peace because I was so undeveloped and full of holes. I got a sense of being from being taken, from giving. So I was parasitically also using that relationship. And as I've evolved, I've gone through enmeshed relationship, dependent relationship, control-based relationships, possessive relationships. And now what I'm finding, to my great and grand delight, that as I let go of the material ensnarements of this world, and as I let go of the illusions of this world and untether myself, I am now attracting transcendent relationships. All of them don't have to be intimate. I'm not talking about sexual relationships. I'm talking about relationships where I attract people in my life where we are synergistically aligned without transactionality. And yet we serve each other the most because we're coming from flow, we're coming from replenishment, we're coming from non-threatening and non-fear. non-threatened spaces and non-fear. So transcendent relationships come into our lives when we have become more and more whole. As we become more whole, you see, we're not parasitically draining the other to fill our inner cup, nor are we going to allow someone else to parasitically drain us. As we become whole, we levitate, the balloon flies. But till we get to transcendent relationships, we are going to go through these other iterations. Extreme form is extreme parasitism, dysfunctional, toxic relationships. And then we have the different iterations of dependency. The reason why I talk about infantile dependency is most of us are stuck in infantile dependency. We're waiting. We're waiting for permission from the grand, mighty, outside entity. And this is where we will be stuck. Infantile dependency leaves us feeling resentful, bitter, self-sabotaging, and in a constant state of being unmoored, feeling absolutely displaced because we're not settled within. We're looking, hungry, craving. So until we develop from within and become whole, the craving will continue. If we are in a relationship out of craving, we enmesh and we stop growing and we resent the other and we actually think we need permission from the other and we actually believe the other is at fault. Why? Because we don't recognize where we are along the continuum of consciousness. There is nobody on the outside causing you pain. The only reason they're causing you pain, and I'm not talking about rape and physical abuse and being stoned to death. There is such a thing as physical pain. Somebody can cause you physical pain. If they drop a big brick on you, they've caused you physical pain. I'm talking about the mental pain, which is completely under your jurisdiction. Nobody is betraying you. Nobody is cheating on you. Nobody is lying to you. No, they're not. If you're in a relationship where you believe what they say, then you co-create that reality to believe what they're saying. If you're now in a relationship where you find out the person has been lying to you, you then realize you were in a relationship where you allowed for the existence of conditions for the other person to lie to you. You are the ultimate co-creator. When you believe that, you completely live with self-possession, self-governance, self-initiation. You go, okay. He acted like a schmuck. She acted like a jerk. I co-created this. So I will stop looking outside. I got to look at myself. How did I co-create my reality? What in me was the missing piece that allowed me to need this salve on the outside to glue and fill me? Owning your co-creation is the path to liberation. When you own your co-creation, there is no such thing as forgiveness. You know, this whole big movement of forgiving other people. I've never forgiven anyone. Because I've never forgiven anyone. I've never entered the space of thinking I need to forgive anyone. So I've never forgiven anyone. I don't think like that. There is no one to forgive. There's nothing to forget. Because in this moment, it is not occurring. Therefore, there's nothing to forgive. Therefore, it doesn't exist. And there's nothing to forget because in this moment, it doesn't exist. You only need to forgive or forget because you're clinging to your own idea of how things should have been. You created a story that X should happen. You then attached to the story that X should happen. Then you said, my happiness depends on X happening. And then with all your passion, you created legality around it. You were like, do you agree that you will allow X to happen? You ask your partner. And the fool says yes. And then 10 years later, Y happens. He got laid off. He's really a lazy bum. He cheated on you. Doesn't matter. It could be she, it could be he. Doesn't matter. Y happened. Now you think you need to forgive your person in your life because X didn't happen? X didn't happen because X didn't happen. The reason why it was devastating for you is because you were attached to X happening. You expected X to happen. And now you thought Sam or Russell or Jake or Jacob needed to make X happen too, because they said they would. But why happened? Now you're like, I don't know whether I can forgive Jake, Sam, Russ, or Jacob. I don't know if I can forgive them. They told me X was going to happen. But why has happened? The co-creator here is you. By having the fantasy of X in the first place. Who put X on the plate? X had not yet happened when you put X on the plate. Who told you you could audaciously predict the future? I want X to happen. But X wasn't in moment B. You were in moment B hoping for X. And then you tell Sam, Russell, Jake, or Jacob, do you agree that X will happen? And the fool who's in his own moment B squared said, yes, I agree. We need to have that happen. When you get into that space that was once in the future, but now is in your present, you're like, oh, that day 10 years ago, I thought that would happen, but I was envisioning snow. I was envisioning a fireplace. And now 10 years later, that moment is here. Oh, this doesn't look like anything like my fantasy. Sam, Jake, or Jacob could renege on their promise. They're like, oops, sorry, different conditions, because now we're in that moment in the future. Now I see that it wasn't anything like I predicted. So now they renege. And you're like, what? You reneged? You promised me? And now it's not happening? You betrayed me, you cheater. Right? It could be anything. It could be from yesterday to today, right? Our child yesterday says, I love the harp, Mom. I love the harp. Buy me a harp. And you, the fool, goes and pretends like the kid knows what it wants in the future, and you go look for the harp. You buy the best harp. You spend $600. Da-da-da-da. You tell your kid it's been a week since the harp came. You know it takes a week for the harp to come. Da-da-da-da-da. Child, here's the harp that you asked for 7 days ago. And the child goes, I did. I said I like the harp. I don't remember saying I like the harp. I certainly didn't say buy me a harp. How did you hear that? Because the parent creates a vision and then gets attached to the vision and then tells the child, you like the harp, right? And the kid goes, no. So now do you forgive your child? Do you have to forgive your child? You'd be forgiving everyone all the time. It's only when you realize that everything is happening perfectly as the way it should be. And if it didn't happen perfectly yesterday, it certainly isn't in the now. And certainly everyone is operating out of their own level of consciousness. So what is there to forgive? Who are we forgiving? Forgive yourself for being so darn stupid and silly for attaching to an expectation. Expectations are the death of us. And the reason we are unhappy, the reason we're depressed, the reason we are resentful is because our expectation did not come to fruition. You thought that your husband would change. You thought that your wife would stop being so lazy. You thought that she would da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah, you thought, exactly. So now pay the price for thinking things, right? You didn't think it through. Because as much as you think, you need to think it through. That, oh, I really want to have 6 children. Oh, great thought, great fantasy. You didn't realize that 6 children come like 6 hurricanes, one after the other, and they tear the house down. You didn't think of that. So all of us set ourselves up. Somebody asked, have I ever asked for forgiveness? When I do, I'm also quite clear that if I don't get it, it's not going to be a life or death thing. I colloquially use the word, forgive me. I was an idiot, a moron. I said the wrong thing. But I also know there's nothing to forgive because I was just the most perfect jerk in that moment as I could be. I was exactly and perfectly as I needed to be, caused by infinite cause and effects. So as much as I can say, forgive me, what are you really forgiving? Infinite causes that brought me there? Then forgive my mother, forgive her mother, forgive the traffic jam that stubbed her father's toe, that made him an alcoholic and addicted to drugs. Keep forgiving everyone then. There's nothing to forgive. I mean, this whole idea of forgiveness is, this new age concept. Forgive and release. No, go to the core of why you think you need to forgive. Then you'll never even have that delusion again that I need to forgive anyone, and we won't waste our time anymore on this whole new age movement of let's forgive. It's wise to forgive. Yeah, it's wise not to expect. If you don't expect, there's nobody going to betray you. Nobody betrays you, nothing to forgive. It's wise, instead of looking for forgiveness within you, to understand with humility that everything is perfectly happening the way it is. To understand with wisdom that everybody operates from their level of consciousness. So there's no betrayal, there's no forgiveness. If you're pissed at your husband or your partner or your spouse or your lover, it's because you wanted something else. You did. Right? You wanted someone who wouldn't cheat. Okay, go find that person. Oops, not this person. You wanted someone who would be fit and strong and keep his body going, not this fat, lazy person who's got a punch that's leaking over his belt. Okay, go find that person. But don't be upset with that person for not fulfilling your fantasy. Your partner was never meant to. Now you'll say, but he took a vow. He said sickness or in health. Yeah, because he was a fool. You married a fool and you believed him. So who's the fool? You. How can you bind somebody to you for the rest of your life? Number one. How can you bind them to their word about the future? The poor guy was drinking some wine. You were intoxicated by your dress and your beauty, and both of you were delusional. So you made some promises about the future. Okay. Anytime anyone makes a promise about the future, it's on you. If you believe it, all bets are off. I mean, really, you're believing the future? The only thing you can really believe in is what's showing up in the present. If it's showing up in the present, there's nothing to believe. It's either here or not here, right? For years, I worked with somebody who always wanted his or her partner to be, her partner, it was a woman, her partner to be different. She always wanted her partner to be somebody other than what he was. So I would always ask her in my therapy office, what is the color of the couch you're sitting on? She'd be like, it's blue. I'm like, exactly. It's not red, is it? Or is it red? Is it red? And she'd be like, no, it's blue. I'm like, no, please, please, please. Maybe there's a part of it that's red because you're acting like it's about to turn red at any moment. You keep acting like it's about to turn red. So check. Maybe it's about to turn red. And she's like, no, Dr. Shefali, it's blue. And then I would ask, is it going to stay blue? She hated my condescension. And she's like, yes, Dr. Shefali, it's going to stay blue. I'm like, oh, really? So why are you asking your husband to go from who he is to who he's not? So every expectation we have is co-created by us. It's our fantasy. So all bets are off the onus on the other. There is no pressure on the other. We make up the castle, we paint the walls, we create the prince. None of it exists, right? And then when the prince shows up as the frog, as the ubiquitous frog in all the stories, we are very betrayed. Now we need to go and embark on a whole process of forgiveness, right? All pop psychology, waste of time. It's the self-help industry gone awry, making money off you. The core of the truth is if you understand evolution of your own consciousness, you will see everyone as a reflection of that, and you will enter the relationship being able to discern that. My greatest mistakes were that I always thought that what I'm seeing is not what I'm seeing, is not what's going to be. No. The person is going to become somebody else. I have hope. I have faith. In those days, I used to have a lot of that. Till I realized that the only truth is what I see in front of me. And if I can truly see what it is, then all my answers lie in that truth. There's nothing I need to believe in. There's nothing I need to wait for. There's nothing coming around when that person changes. No, what is in the now is going to be in the tomorrow. The promise of tomorrow is in the present. It's already right here. If in the moment you're not attracted, you're not connected, you're not alive, you're not authentic, you're not your most transparent self, at least be the most. You can't be 100% transparent, but be the most compared to other relationships. If you're not that, then only unless arduous transformation takes place, it's most likely it will be like this 10 years from now. So when you understand your complete autonomy in choices, in accountability. You are an autonomous person. Nobody is going to give you accountability or tell you you need to be accountable. You are autonomous in that. When you fully capitalize on your autonomy in being accountable, in your co-creation, in your own movie making, in your own delusions, when you access that autonomy, you become the liberated one. You become the captain. Oh, I hate to use these cliches, the captain of your ship. You enter the driver's seat of your life. You are spearheading the arrow. You are at the forefront of the curve. You are the creator of your own perceptions. You are in charge of your destiny, right? Now, most of us want that in concept, but can't actualize that in practice. Why? Because we still are infantile. We are still stuck in a dependent hierarchy, which may not even exist on the outside, but it exists in our minds. We cannot believe that we can be sovereign, right? So we are dependent on the other outside. We're dependent on our children to say that they love us. We're dependent on our partners to say that they complete us and that they'll be with us and that they'll hold our hands till eternity. We are infantile in our dependence. So anytime you are upset with another, it's because you expected something that isn't occurring. No other reason. So who's responsible for that setup? You. Now, you'll say, but now I'm stuck. I made the choice 30 years ago, and now I've created a whole system around me, and everyone is reliant on me, and I can't just bail. Okay, so now you're attached to the idea that everyone is reliant on you and that you can't bail. So again, you've created another movie. Everywhere you turn will be a movie, will be a belief system that stops you. Unless you expose the belief system, the movie that you have created through your own unconscious or conscious will, you will forever feel victimized by your reality. So the first step in a relationship of consciousness is to if you want to be in a relationship of consciousness, is to understand where you are on the continuum. Are you on the lower end, on the parasitic, enmeshed, toxic, dependent end, or are you on the transcendent end, where the love that you feel is unreliant on the object? So the object doesn't dictate the love that you feel. That is transcendent love. And at the lower end of parasitism or extreme dependency, the object matters a lot. In fact, the relationship is an objectified relationship. So when you begin to carp about your partner not doing the chores, not putting the lid down, not paying the bills, not having great sex or connection with you in the bed, not, things that they do upset you, it's transactional, you can be rest assured that it's not so much about your partner, but about the fact that you and your partner are not entering a state of transcendence. You are very much mired in form. In fact, your entire relationship was based on the object, on the other. Other doing X, then I feel Y. Other does B, then I feel A. Most relationships and most marriages are based on objectification, on this sort of transactionality. So if you want a transcendent, conscious relationship, the first place you need to start is recognizing where you are. Who are you? Who is your partner? Who are you both together? One of my greatest pains in my life has been when I've had to analyze each relationship and see it for what it is and realize, wow, I can't be transparent in almost every relationship. In every relationship, I have to be inauthentic. In almost every relationship, I have to be in the persona, in the role. Sometimes as a child, sometimes as a mother, sometimes as the partner. And when I began to observe that, it caused me pain. Because here I was thinking I was a liberated woman living in a liberated relationship. And I wasn't. Almost every relationship was ensnaring and captivating in some way. It was captivating of my authentic self. It was abducting me. And it took me a while to understand the quality of these relationships. And then I had to really come to the question, does this relationship serve me? Does this relationship meet my highest version of myself? Can I be matched in my transcendent capacity? Or is this relationship forever going to be a form-based relationship full of transactionality? And what kind of relationship do I want? And as you go through each relationship in your life and suffer the pain of that, because you come out of denial and you begin to see with clarity what that relationship is really about, then you have to let go, make the decision to keep some and let go of some. I'm having an event in my home in a few weeks, and I had to carefully discern who would be a match at that event. And I had to make some tough choices. As I have begun aligning every moment with my inner knowing, I've had to release people, release relationships, create distance, create barriers, create absolute distance from some people. This is part of the healing process, because you're healing from the pain of being in transaction, being in form. You do this, I do this. And the whole relationship is based on that. It's so limited. So when you are complaining and copying about your partner, rest assured, both of you are stuck in a form-based dynamic and you're not able to access the higher realms of transcendence and formlessness. Now, what if you are able to transcend, but your partner isn't? Then you do what I'm saying. You have to release. You have to create distance. You have to create protection between you and the others. You owe it to yourself to surround yourself with relationships that at least you are consciously consenting to. At least, please do not be in relationships where you foolishly believe you have to be in this relationship. There is no choice. At least own the conscious consent. Nothing is being done to you. If you feel like you can't extricate because you don't have enough money, it's because you've bought into that belief system that you need to have X amount of dollars to extricate. If you believe that your children will be hurt or upset, you bought into the system of belief that says in the future, there's a likelihood that my kid will be upset, and you bought into it. And it matters to you that they are not upset. So in every which way you finesse this, you will begin to see that you are actually a fully conscious consenter. So anger then toward the other person doesn't have much place. Now, does this mean you can't be outraged, indignant, righteous? Of course, we're human. But holding on to anger, resentment, bitterness is your own delusion, because you believe that person should have been other than who they amply and clearly were. So hard, right? I can still echo in my mind with these thoughts about people way in my past. But if only she, if only he, like, why didn't she? Why didn't he? I am still cacophonous in my echo because those thoughts don't leave. The only difference perhaps now between me, who used to be obsessed with thoughts like that, of resentment, of upsetness, of bitterness, and now, is that I can see through my thoughts and I realize my thoughts are delusional. So I don't pay any mind to them. But do the thoughts still come? Yes. Because we have all been raised on a diet of seduction that the blame lies outside. The fault is on the outside. And as long as we do that, we actually do not grow. So, sad to say that if you're complaining about your partner, it's really you having to wake up. It's your complaints are your wake-up call. Your resentment is your wake-up call. Your bitterness is your wake-up call. You're feeling stuck with your partner? It's a wake-up call to ask, why am I holding on to this which does not serve me? What about this is keeping me here when I'm so miserable? There is no job, there is no person, there's no relationship that you need to stay if it doesn't serve you anymore. Now, does this mean you have to impetuously get up and abandon ship? No, of course not. But you have to at least become aware in your consciousness why you're staying why you can't leave. And consciously understand that you are making a choice. And as long as you can do that, you can stay in any cesspool of any dysfunction as long as you realize you are. You're taking a conscious choice, right? So that involves sitting with it, discerning, allowing it to come from your deeper inner knowing, and then you make a choice, or you don't make a choice, or you make a choice to not make a choice. But irregardless, I know irregardless may not be a word. I think it's an Urban Dictionary word, but I love it. Irregardless, the choice is always yours. Nobody is handcuffing you. Nobody is threatening you. Nobody is holding you back. The choice is yours. If you choose to stay in a dysfunctional relationship, it's because that's a better choice for you in that moment of consciousness than leaving. And that's okay. Just recognize it. Just own it. Claim it. So as we evolve in formlessness, there is a time in our lives that we will untether from transactional relationships. You will let go of your mother, perhaps. You let go of your sibling. You one day may let go of your child, because you will begin to understand that the consciousness of yourself and that other being is now mired in a very myopic, limited, transactional, need-based relationship. And when you are courageous enough, you will begin to release these. You know, it's even silly for me to say when you're courageous enough. It's all about consciousness. When you're whole enough, when you have done enough inner work, you will be whole enough that there is no way that unconsciousness can even stick to you, right? And in fact, if you're getting angry at unconsciousness, means that it's still sticking to you. As you become more whole, it's just like this balloon that gets more and more filled with the helium and takes off. The balloon has no choice but to take off because it's being filled with an inner abundance, with an inner lightness of being. So it's not about courage. You don't go looking for courage. Don't go looking for anything. Simply work on healing yourself. The healing will lead the way, because healing changes the vibration of your consciousness, and that is the leader. These are not decisions that you think. These are not decisions that you force. These are not decisions that you have to, decide or do. These, what I'm talking about, whether you should stay in a relationship or leave, or whether you should take on another job or in city X or city Y, all these pivotal life decisions are rarely thought about. They are grown into. They are evolved into. How? By healing the inner split. By healing the split between the true self and the false self. As you move the needle toward authenticity, am I being my most transparent self now? Am I not being my most transparent self now, but I'm aware that I'm not being my most transparent self now? As you keep going to your inner knowing and your inner alignment, that is how your consciousness paves the way. And decisions get decided in the flow of your consciousness. But what am I really saying? That you have to pivot the arrow inward. You have to keep looking at the inner self. You have to keep asking the tough questions. You have to look at the reflection in the mirror and go, am I being authentic? And as the split between the false and the true self congeals and heals, it is just inevitable that all the factors that propel the false self will wither away. You have no choice, because those were elements connected to the vibration of the false self. As you enter true self, those elements no longer serve a purpose. And you will walk back into those spaces as if they are alien-like, as if you're in a foreign country. And that is a disorienting process. Many of you have already experienced it, where you look at your ex-lover and you're like, I don't even recognize you anymore, because you have evolved so much. Or you go back to your old hometown and you're like, oh, I don't vibrationally connect anymore. So part of this wondrous thing we call life is the capacity, the opportunity to evolve many iterations. But you see, we're so attached to how we were and how life should be that we don't allow for the skin to slough off, The skin wants to come off. The skin wants to be shed. Light wants to shine through. But we're like, no, 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 I can't let go. So we hold on to deadened skin, to withering skin that has done its time. But we're so afraid of letting it go that rather we have this skin than the possibility of just the most healthiest next version of ourselves. Every time I've been scared to let go of some skin, and then when I do, I go, oh my goodness, this is what was waiting for me? I had no idea. Why didn't I get a guarantee? Because life doesn't offer them. You have to just live it, enter it, and there it shows up. So nobody needs to be forgiven. Nobody is cheating on you. Nobody has even lied to you. Let it all go. It's a story you've told. If they lied to you and you believed it, you're the fool. End of story. Even if they convinced you at some level, you believed it. So own your co-creation and move on. Never hold the other responsible, especially if they cannot be, if it's beyond their scope. You move on. You clean your energy and you transform. But all of this, of course, takes enormous wholeness, WHOLENESS. And the only way to become whole is to do the inner work. All the time asking, how do I need to grow? Why am I infantile? What is my inner child saying? How did my ego learn to cope in a dysfunctional way? What can I release? What can I let go of? So instead of fighting with your partner, instead of being disgruntled with your boss, take yourself into the corner and go sit and look within. Because now you're doing what you're meant to do. You are meant to heal from every moment in your life that causes you rupture. The rupture is not being caused so you can burst out in anger. The rupture is not being caused so you can withdraw in victimhood. The rupture is being caused for you to enter yourself and enter and access your inner knowing. So if you keep doing that, you become whole and conscious, and dysfunctional relationships wither away. You may not be ready to, you may be too attached to them. We are very attached to our suffering. So you may not be ready, you may conceptually be ready, but not emotionally. So you'll see that about yourself, and you'll have compassion for yourself. That, you know what, this relationship sucks, but I'm just scared to move on. Okay, just know that if you don't make room, something else cannot come. If you don't destroy the old, you cannot erect the new, right? Look at your relationships, examine them on the level of consciousness that they are at. See them for what they're at. Examine it in terms of authenticity, transparency, and lightness of being, and creativity and flow. Recognize the level that it's at, and then make decisions. But make decisions. Try something new. The next version of you awaits. Allow it an opportunity to descend, to take form. We may be surprised. You can always go back, but you may not always give yourself opportunity for the new. We always stay stuck. That's easy. We can always go back. That's easy. But let's try creating the wide open, wondrous space for the new, right? The greatest change I've made in my life, all the greatest changes that I've made in my life have only come about through destruction of the past. Destruction, right? I had to leave my country. Leave it, right? As one example. If I had never left, then none of this. And similarly in your life, you know, the process of giving birth is a death of the old self. You died already. You've died a million times. The infant in you died, the toddler in you died, the 21-year-old in you died, the artist in you died, the authentic one in you died. We've already died. So let's die some more. Push yourself to the edge of your death. That is happening anyway. I want you to intentionally die. Die onto the old, die onto the habit, die onto the accustomed, die onto the conditioned, die onto the complacent. Die onto it. Go to the edge of your death. Imagine it, enter it. See how it feels, and you'll realize that in the death is actually an expansion. Because every time you die, you release. And when you release, you create space, and space is expansion. So death is expansion. Death is the emergence of new. Death is evolution. You cannot evolve without death. So go die onto the old. Die onto the old patterns. Only you can do it. Not your partner, not your friend, not your children. You can die. But you have to kill the old. You have to kill it. So go kill something within yourself that is old, stagnant, and dysfunctional. Good night. Good night, everyone.